they can come on, and if they don't. All right, so we're live here, War Room episode 18, and we're gonna have I think we're gonna have two other people come on. Okay. All right. So now you can hear me again. And all right. So today we're going to talk about the NFL draft, and we'll probably talk about some training camps too whenever Kerm and Anthony decide to show up. But for now, let's just go through my mock draft real quick and determine who we haven't watched on tape, Joey. That'll be a lot easier. So draftutopia.com/2016 NFL mock draft.html. And Joey Bosa is the number one player on my board. And he did get suspended one game. Have you seen Joey Bosa's tape? Christian Hackenberg, I've seen his tape. Ronnie Stanley, Nadem Keish, Tunsil, Ashawn Robinson, Fuller. We watched the cornerbacks last time. Conklin, Cardell Jones, Connor Cook, Jalen Ramsey. I think that's the first guy we haven't seen extensively on tape. And then we've got Sean Oakman out of Baylor. I think we saw him against Michigan State and Conklin. Baydal Alexander, we haven't seen him on tape. Emmanuel Ogba, we haven't seen him on tape. Rashard Higgins, we saw him on tape, and Miles Jack. So there's 4 players in the top 16 that we haven't watched, Joey. And we'll try to watch those players on tape today. Okay, so yeah, we'll get straight into this. And who's the first guy again that we're gonna watch on tape? It's yeah, my memory's really Jalen Ramsey. So we'll get some Jalen Ramsey highlights up. He's an ideal candidate to replace Troy Polamalu in Pittsburgh. You can watch his freshman highlights and his sophomore highlights. All right. So do you see anything? That was a good pass breakup by Jalen Ramsey. I have not heard a peep out of Joey yet. He's being more quiet than James Bond today. So, yeah, I mean, this is a great breakup. I think this is from the home game against Syracuse. They got this other quarterback in replacing Ryan Nassib. Yeah, and Ramsey with a nice blitz there. So, and right now I get this Patrick Chung vibe with Ramsey. I mean, he's a very hard hitter, very aggressive, and that's definitely something you want in a prospect. I don't even... What do you think of Ramsey, Joey? Wow, what a hit.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because no. Okay, the mic's working. Let's see if we get the headphones working.
Now, this is the thing with the mic. It works if it doesn't have like a mute button next to it. Like if they And I'll show you when we're finished watching tape on this guy. Jalen Ramsey, he blitzes Tom Savage. Someone blitzes Tom Savage, and he intercepts him. And he lined up at free safety on that play. So, and he played some corner as a freshman.
Headphones are not working.
Do headphones really matter? Like, do the headphones allow you to speak louder? I'm just curious because I have headphones, but I'm not using them.
This was working this morning.
Yeah, I've got headphones. I didn't plug them in because I'm afraid, like, if I plug the headphones I have in, that they won't work or I'll just look ridiculous with headphones. But I'll plug my headphones in just to see if they work. All right. I've got my headphones on. I don't know if you can hear me better or not, but Jalen Ramsey, he just picked off Wake Forest, returned an interception for a touchdown, and he's showboating his epic golden Nike cleats. Another hard hit by Jalen Ramsey. Can you hear me with the headphones? I don't think my headphones work either. Okay. Hello? Is that you, Joey? Or is that the end of the highlights? So those were his freshman highlights. And we're going to go back to screen share. See this? This is invite people. This is hide participants. Oh, hide participants is turned on. I'm sorry. I didn't know what the hell that was. Show participants. Sorry. Oh, so that's supposed to be on. Okay, Joey. So you see this microphone next to invite people. Look at your screen. Do you see this? I don't know what button I'm talking. All right, I'm going to open up the chat room.
Have been.
Yeah, awesome. I can hear you
now. Okay, yeah. For some reason, the computer wasn't picking up both the headset and the microphone at the same time, and I had to finagle through several ports to try to get it to where it would pick up everything.
Yeah, the Jalen Ramsey freshman highlights were pretty good. So
yeah, I watched some Ramsey this morning along with some Cardell Jones and a little bit of Hargreaves. So I think I watched his sophomore game against the U.
I watched his sophomore game against Notre Dame because they were airing that game on ESPN Classic last night. They were airing like the top 25 college football games of 2014, and Florida State Notre Dame happened to come in at number 4.
Okay, yeah, this is the one I watched this morning, the Florida State versus Miami. And Ramsey in this game, he got off to a really slow start. Good start, but slow. And as the game progressed, he got better. And in the second half, he just completely dominated. He was always around the ball. He was making plays. He got sacks. He was tipping the ball every time he turned around. Yeah, so that was, and he's a good tackler. I think that's probably he's a good tackler and a good blitzer. And I think the tackling is probably one of his more underrated aspects.
He kind of reminds me of Patrick Chung with his tackling. I'm not going to compare him to Troy Polamalu because that's just foolish, but he tackles like Chung did coming out of Oregon and on the Patriots.
Well, I actually think he's better in coverage than Polamalu was. So, I mean, I don't think he's as good a tackler. He doesn't always play at the line like Polamalu. But I think he is just as good of a blitzer as Polamalu was, and he's more multidimensional. He has, on special teams, he plays like against the U. He had a blocked kick. He forced a fair catch at the last second where the guy was about ready to run off, saw Ramsey out of the corner of his eyes and did a late fair catch call just so he wouldn't get hit. He was jumping over people, running around people, special teams. He was an ace. Played headhunter, plus he was on the extra point field goal defense team. And in coverage, he wasn't spectacular in coverage, but he was good in coverage. He's good at everything he does. He's good at masking the blitz. He's good at tackling. I think he has a multi-dimensional skill set. I think he could potentially play free safety. I think he'll need a little bit of work on that, with his coverage, but I think he could do it. And he can definitely play strong safety. You need him on special teams. He'll play special teams and he'll excel at it. So Ramsey is really, one of these guys who will make a play. He will find a way to do it. He might not be the prototypical at everything, but he'll find a way.
Absolutely. And I know it's a third Ramsey tape. I think this might be the one you watched this morning. Maybe it was the other one we just showed.
No, I watched game film. It was a lot longer than this.
So, do you watch portions of this game film when you first wake up and need something to eat, or when do you watch the tape of this?
I watch them whenever I can get a chance. This morning I watched it literally first thing I got up. I turned the stuff on and was watching until I needed to get something to eat and start the Potter's Pub I'm working on. But usually I watch tape whenever I'm not working at the place out downtown, the big building. Used to tell cab driver, just when they ask where I'm going, I say just take a right at the gates of hell. They'll buzz you in. But whenever I'm not working there or working on this, I'm watching game film, usually. Unless I'm winding down, then I'll find a nice Let's Play on YouTube to, watch portions of as I go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, there's full game film, like full games of things, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if we watched full game tape of an entire game all over again, we'd have to limit it to one prospect per week.
Yeah, that we'd be here, and even then we'd be here for a while. Um, I usually try to find film that is will show every play that that player plays and cut out everything else, because that will take it down from 2.5 hours to like because if you take there are 60 minutes in a football game, uh, that'll limit it to 10, 15 minutes of
Yeah.
actual play for player per
That's what Draft
game.
Breakdown does so well at. They find 10 to 15 minutes of plays the player did, good and bad plays, and they put them in a film reel. Like these other highlight shows, they only show the good plays the player makes.
Yeah, and I found a few people that do that, where they do the same thing Draft Breakdown does. But the thing is, if you get 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes 8 to 15 minutes of gameplay, you're probably watching every play that player plays in a game. Because, I think if you're on the field for 25 minutes as a defensive player, you're probably on there a little bit too long. So that should tell you something about that one. And I watched as there's an Ohio State game, the game of Cardale Jones that I watched today. He was only on the field 12 minutes.
I'm trying to think of the next player. I think it was Vidal Alexander. But when I mentioned that he played as a number one corner as a freshman, and he was the first player since Deion Sanders to do that at Florida State, and he had 27 tackles on passing plays as a true freshman, and then he had 76 tackles, 12 deflections, and he is a better blitzer than Fuller. I'm going to give him credit for that, but I've seen him line up in cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4 schemes because he played corner as a freshman. Now, Vidal Alexander, who I mocked 13th to the Falcons because they never replaced Justin Blaylock, that's who I think we should watch next. LSU, because I was tempted to move Vidal Alexander ahead of Lael Collins based on his play last year. There was a time where I was actually tempted to do that.
Yeah, there was a time when Alexander actually outplayed Collins during a stretch of 2 or 3 games. I mean, he just flat out played him. So there is a lot of talent there with this guy.
Because I saw the Alabama game, and I thought Alexander actually did a better job at left guard than Collins did at left tackle.
Yeah.
And there was a temptation to move him up ahead on my rankings, but I would have looked stupid if I did that, and I was just like, let's see what happens. Let's wait and see if he declares.
Yeah. I would just watch his hands with Alexander. Just watch his hands, how when he gets a hold of somebody. I mean, it's just it's hard to put into words how when he gets a hold of somebody, they just don't go. I mean, sometimes he doesn't get a hold of them, but when he does, it is really hard unless he lets you go to get off of him.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have Pollock. LSU's got a right tackle eligible for the 2016 NFL draft as well, 65. I don't know his name, but I saw him in Charlie Campbell's NFL draft rankings. Yeah. The LSU right tackle.
Yeah, I want to look here. This is something for Day for Notre Dame. He pushed Alexander back there, so that's a thumbs up for him at defensive tackle because right now he's a 2nd or 3rd round prospect. And
who?
Day from Notre Dame. And
what's his first name?
For the life of me, I wish I could remember. But for some reason, the only his last name comes out. But
so Kerm just woke up.
Okay.
I'm not going to text Fultz and ask him to come to Anthony yet. If he wants to come, fine. If he doesn't, we're just going to stay positive and move on.
Yep. Show must go on. But let me take a look. I know I've got something up here.
Is it Sheldon Day?
Sheldon Day. Yes.
Yeah. Sheldon Richardson. I'm sorry. I know that was inappropriate, but Sheldon Richardson, the Jets, he's a defensive end just like Sheldon Day, and the whole Sheldon Richardson incidents, the timing was perfect. Sheldon.
Yeah, but Day is somebody who I'm high on, and it's going to be game film like this one against guys like Alexander, and that's going to determine his draft status. Because Notre Dame plays some difficult teams. Notre Dame plays some not so difficult teams. So it's games like this that you're going to have to watch where Day and Alexander are head up over each other. Those are games that are really going to determine for both players.
Yeah, Notre Dame opens up the season against Texas, so Sheldon Day is going to have like a big game where he has like at least 3 or 4 tackles for a loss, maybe 1 or 2 sacks. He doesn't have to have 3 sacks, but he needs to have at least 1.5 or 2 sacks and 4 tackles for a loss if he's going to impress scouts to the point where he's going to move from the second to the first round. Like, he has to have a statement like that to open the season, and he's got to maintain that momentum.
Yeah, and the thing with Day is I think that he has the potential. He has the athletic ability. He has the size. He has the strength. You know, he's a good player, but he hasn't been able to put it all together yet. He hasn't really had that breakout, hey, I'm coming to kick your ass. There's nothing you can do about it. Statement. As a freshman, he had a couple pretty good I'm here statement games. But since then, he hasn't had that big, I'm the man.
Let's watch Michigan Notre Dame's 37-0 shutout. I mean, I love Ohio State and I love Tom Brady, but I hate Michigan. So let's watch Notre Dame assault Michigan.
Yes, let's assault Michigan. Oh, wait.
Let's deflate the Wolverines.
Wolverines are balloons? That's interesting. Gonna have to get with Pete on that one.
I mean, we got to watch more tape of Vadell Alexander, but I guess we can take a quick break and watch some Sheldon Day, some Kivari Russell. Wait, Kivari Russell got suspended, but Jalen Smith is on Notre Dame as well.
Yeah.
Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah, and the thing that drives me nuts about Notre Dame is they always have all this talent. They are extremely good, talent-wise. But
and they never deliver.
They deliver during the regular season, but when it comes to postseason,
bowl games.
Yeah, they
beat LSU in the bowl game this year.
Yeah, which is a change because in the national championship game a couple years ago, I firmly believe they had the better team. They're the best team in the nation, but they choked. And that's the big thing. That's why people say Notre Dame's overrated. Not because of the talent, not because of everything else, but they choked.
Chris Christie, the Michigan head coach, Chris Christie.
Oh, jeez. But
I know it's Brady Hope, but I call him Chris Christie because he looks like Chris Christie.
Yeah, but the thing is, Notre Dame chokes in the bowl games. It's like they should have a couple more national championships than they do. Point blank. Yeah, and that's why people say they're overrated. Not because they're not as good as advertised. It's because they choke. They are
they had Juan Tuit, who went to the Steelers, Louis Nix, who went to the Texans, and they had Manti Te'o. They had a good defense, okay? It's not like their defense was absolute garbage and they got lucky against some of their opponents before.
Their defense that year when they went to the national championship was the best in the nation.
They had
Their
Kimari
offense,
Russell at cornerback before his off the field issues. I mean, that was a very good defense.
yeah, and then they had their offense. It wasn't spectacular, but they had a solid run game. They were explosive in the passing game. I mean, yeah, they could be 3rd and 15 where they screwed up twice, and then they would get a first down just because they were explosive enough to make the big
Tyler
play.
Eifert, the tight end on that team.
Yeah, Tyler Eifert was there. There was no doubt that was the best team in the nation. But when it came to
as well.
Yep. But when it came to the big game, they choked. Point blank, they choked.
And I wish Kerm was here to tell us that Notre Dame was not the best team. It was Alabama, because I know Kerm would go on a rant and rip Notre Dame a new asshole because Alabama, he's an Alabama guy.
Yeah, and you know, I like Notre Dame. There was a time I saw every game Notre Dame played for about 4 years. But at the same time, it's like Notre Dame, I can't say Notre Dame was the best team in the nation often. But what I can say, but that year when they went to the national championship, they were easily the best team. They just, as Notre Dame always does, choked.
And I think there were some psychological events which led up to them choking. I mean, there was the hype that they were finally going to be the team that beat Alabama, which they probably bought into. There was Manti Te'o losing the Heisman to Johnny Manziel, and there was the fake girlfriend scandal. And I think all of that just affected them.
It was because Manti Te'o's girlfriend slept with the quarterback.
Yes, Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend and Catherine Webb had a threesome with A.J. McCarron, and that's how Alabama won the 2013 national title. Ask Brett Musburger.
Yeah, it was just Manti Te'o was just completely demoralized. It's like McCarron showed his alpha male with his girlfriend, and it was.
And Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend. They had a threesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's basically the thing with Notre Dame, and I think this year Notre Dame's not going to be as good. They're not going to have the talent. They're still going to be talented, but they're not going to be as talented as they have been in the last few years.
They're still going to have defensive talent, and I don't know if Jalen Smith was on the starter on that Notre Dame team that made the national title. Maybe this guy started across from us Tui, but that Notre Dame team was stacked that year with defensive talent.
Yeah, and I think the defensive tackles are, even with Nick's gone. I don't think Nick's wasn't there last year either, but even with Nick's gone now, Day has had a year by himself. Now he's going to have to step up. He's going to say, okay, I know what I'm in for. I know what I've got going against me. Let's go.
I mean, that Notre Dame team actually wasn't ranked in the top 5 or top 10 that year, and they still won a lot of games and earned the right to play in the title in 2013. Unlike the 2017, which was the hype machine of college football that year. Brady Quinn, you had Rhett Ellison at wide receiver, Jeff Samardzija, now the pitcher in the MLB. He's a stud pitcher. And, yeah, he could have been a first-round pick if he decided to play pro football, but he chose the MLB instead. I still don't know why. John Carlson was a tight end at Notre Dame that year. Yeah, so Notre Dame had a very good offense that year.
Yeah,
and they almost beat USC in 2006. People forget that. They were like a yard away from beating USC. It was like that Super Bowl 34 in college football.
Yeah, and, that's something a lot of people forget is that, Notre Dame, they say Notre Dame's overrated. No, Notre Dame's not overrated. Notre Dame just chokes. I mean, they beat great teams. They beat good teams. They beat great teams. They just, when it comes to bowl games, when the pressure's on, it's like they choke. Believe me, if they were overrated, they would not have the contract with NBC. NBC is not going to take a slouch. They would not have the money to remain independent. they would not have all this if they were overrated, because they wouldn't have the outside funding. They would have their donors that were the former alumni and stuff like that, but they wouldn't have the television deal. They wouldn't have, these outside companies saying, hey, Notre Dame, come on, you're going to sell us some shit. You're going to make us money because they're rated.
It costs like $50,000 in college tuition per semester to go to Notre Dame. That's what this kid from Subway told me in my local hometown of Wexford, that it costs like $50,000 in college tuition per semester to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, Mike Golick, who, as we all know, former NFL defensive tackle, went to Notre Dame. His son goes to Notre Dame. I think he's an offensive tackle.
I think he graduated last year.
He might have, but he said when I was able to watch Mike and Mike every morning, they were talking about tuition prices, and Golick literally pulled out his checkbook on air and said, "I'm sorry, I forgot. I've got to write out. I've got to give Notre Dame their tuition check for this semester." And Greenberg asked him, "Well, how much is that?" He's like, "It's enough to make me want to cry. It's $40,000 a semester." And that was 3 or 4 years ago. And so Golick literally, thankfully, he was an NFL player and saved his money well, or else he'd never be able to afford that. But he literally just pulled out his checkbook, wrote a $40,000 check, And it was like, my God, and a lot of people don't know this, but I got letters from Notre Dame at one point, for their sports management program, I think it was. I don't have the letter anymore. Sports management. Yeah, I think it was sports management or something like that. It's like, when you ask, I think the tuition at the time was, I think I was a junior or senior in high school. And the coaches at the high school were, they were good. They sent out, I got Audubon, I think it was, and a couple others, and somehow I ended up getting something from Notre Dame. I don't know how that ended up happening. And it was inquired about the price. I think at the time it was $30,000, $35,000. It's like, that's more than my parents make in a year, and they worked for 30 years just to get that. It was absolute. Tuition itself was absolutely insane.
Yeah, it really is. And like with sport management, I have a sport management book from Slippery Rock. It's actually, sport management was actually a pretty cool class, but they wouldn't let me change my major from psychology to sport management, even though I met the GPA, and that's why I left. And if they had let me done that, I probably would have stayed while working on Draft Utopia, maybe trying to see if anybody wanted to join, because I was getting a lot better at code. And I think that really, the fact that they didn't let me the fact that they weren't going to let me change my major was actually a blessing in disguise, because I don't know how I would have been able to pull all this code I'm doing now while attending classes.
You wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, you seen, I was going to school and working at Walmart, and it's like, and you seen how difficult it is working 32 hours at Walmart and trying to work on Draft Evolution, especially with the hours I keep when I work first shift and the mid shifts.
I know. I did like 30 hours a week at Panera while doing this, and I was just so exhausted after Panera as a dishwasher. I just had to take a nap. I just had to.
Yeah, so it's, you see, it's not an easy life to try to get this stuff, to try to get your own stuff going while making money for other people, which is basically, there's an old saying, you can either spend your life making money for yourself, or you can spend it making money for others. And you can
make your dreams come true, or you can make someone else's dreams come true. That's the other quote I heard.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people, this is when you start, especially something like this, you're not providing product, you are providing service. And when you're providing a service, it takes longer to really make profit off of. And that's why I tell people when you are providing a service, it takes at least 5 years before you really realize what you're getting. And that is the big thing a lot of people don't realize. They say, well, why aren't you making more money? Why aren't you making any money? It's like, you have to, if you're providing a service, you have to get an audience. You have to be able to, your money comes more from advertising and marketing more than it does. And I'm not saying advertising for you get advertisers to work with you, but advertising is in you put in money, you get the name out there, and you bring in people, you advertise. That's where your money comes from. Whereas a service, it's like when you provide a product, it's like you've usually got a building, of some type. You usually take out a loan, get a building, buy some product. You usually smart people put up a big freaking banner, so everybody knows that this is here. They get some signs they put along the side of the road, but here it's not as easy as that. Getting a loan, I wouldn't say it would be that'd make you cry on the long term, but it's not as easy as you would think it is, and it takes longer to make money than it would if you were on the other end.
I know exactly what you're saying, because I started the Draft Utopia podcast back in 2011 when the Andrew Luck draft occurred, and I didn't turn this into a website until 2012, and I didn't learn how to upload my code to a web server until 2014. So, I mean, that in itself, and I had Google AdSense, but they blocked me, and then I ended up with a media strike, and I was very fortunate to put myself back in a position where I would be making money. So,
yeah, and I'm just flat, I've got AdSense, but at the same time, it's like I'm not old enough, as a site to have the followers to make a lot or really much of anything off of it.
And I think it's because I framed myself in a certain position and did everything slowly. Even though I'm still kind of a rookie in my second year of coding, it's because I've had a business for almost 5 years. Well, not almost 5 years. It feels like I've had a business for 5 years since the podcast has been around since 2011. But really, I've only had my own website for 3 years. But I'm at that point where it feels like I'm a natural.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's like draft evolution. It's like, I'm going, but I'm not anywhere close to say where you are when it comes to, size and scope.
Yeah, and it took 8 days. I made an error in my .html in my navigation bar, and I spent 8 consecutive days correcting that.
Yeah, and it's just one mistake when you're doing coding. It's
authorized to use.
Huh?
Okay, this hangout will air. If you continue broadcasting content you aren't authorized to use. So I'm guessing that means we can't watch tape of these guys anymore. Wow. That was lame.
So basically, an email or something?
It was like a Google alert notice. So they know what we're doing. And they're basically saying, we're going to cancel you if you keep. That's lame.
Yeah. There are.
So basically now we'll just have to watch the tape from our computer and commentate on it as we're doing that, if they're going to be like that.
Yeah, it's, you'd have to use the, probably something similar to on a to what Draft Breakdown uses, because they've got a disclaimer that shows the exact law that allows them to do that without consequence. So you'd probably have to do something similar.
Yeah, and it's like they were a startup a few years ago, and they didn't really have this stuff together, but now they do. And if you try to like do what they're doing, they're gonna try to go. They're not gonna show you any mercy because they're that big now.
Yeah, it's
It's not them, it's not you. It's just that's how the law works.
yeah. Well, there are ways around it in the law. You just have to figure it out.
There are loopholes. And the key to succeeding is to figure out the loopholes without talking about them, without getting caught, and to just do ethical things.
Well, even if you get caught, it's if you know the law well enough, they can't really do anything about it if you post the law. And it's just finding, it's like I'm one of these people. I've exploited rules that other people don't like, so much that, most of the time people just ignore me because they know I'll exploit something that they don't want me to exploit.
I'm the same way. Like,
yeah, so it just might be so it's probably just a thing of, they send you a warning, and if you are doing things by the law, by the book, where they can't technically exploit, threaten you with that, then you can send it back. We're doing it under this act, or this act of this part of the law, and and all this, that, and the other. But
this is what we have to do. We have to go, like, I don't know, maybe we should talk about this after we finish airing the War Room, but I think I know the loophole to getting around this.
Okay, well,
I'm not going to say it on the air because if they're recording this stuff, it's like they'll be able to tell what I'm going to do. Naturals don't give their secrets away,
Yeah, well, it's what you're doing on that front. I'm just giving what I usually do, and if you know it, then by all means, whether you say it or not, just take your thing and then just let me know later. But
because some people, they'll just stop doing this for a few episodes and then they'll bring it back at a later point. And it's like, we'd have to stop doing this for a while, then maybe we can bring it back for a bit, and then we'd have to stop again. And it's just like, yeah, that's what sucks.
Yeah, but
this is a good idea, but
yeah, it's not like we have
I mean, a show that lets you cover draft prospects in every sport.
Yeah, it's not like we have
licenses and other stuff.
Yeah, endless money. We don't have Disney money, though I wish we did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's whatever. But honestly, I don't really think we talked much about the prospects today, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we only watched one player. I think it was two actually, Vadal Alexander and the other guy. We were going to watch Emmanuel Agba out of Oklahoma State, but I'm not even sure if there's a point in watching it now. If they're not going to let us do that. So
yeah,
kind of bummed out about that. We'll go till noon, but we're going to stop at noon because we both have too much other stuff to do.
Yeah, and I'm just thankful that I was ahead with Draft Utopia or Draft Evolution, because right now I'm behind, but I'm not as behind as I would have been, because as you know, it's like the swelling in my hand has just gone down enough today to where I can actually type. That I was pretty well torn up, and with my right hand, and And yeah, my fingers are about down to the size they're supposed to be. So that's good. So I'm thankful I'm ahead of the curve at this point, that I was ahead of the curve before that happened.
Yeah, so I'm just, with the Buffalo Sabres, the Lakers, all these season previews and stuff, I'm just trying to do that, update the homepage, update whatever. And I don't know how much time I'll have to code the minor league baseball pages for our website before we do other stuff. So I'm just trying to take my time and sort that out.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely understand. I've got a.
And with NFL next season in September, I'm not going to have time to do that until next year, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm working on Potter's Pub today. I'm going to be working on finishing the update on the About page, which I was going to do, before everything last week happened and everything.
I got one of these ads before saying that if you keep doing this, that you're not following the rules, and that you agree that if you keep airing this, you won't make any money off the videos, and that other people will make money, and that's fine, okay? If the other people that upload these videos want the ad revenue and we don't, I'm cool with that as long as we get to keep airing this stuff. But
yeah, it's if somebody else wants revenue,
for the money, like some of these other companies that shall remain nameless. We're doing this because we love football, and we feel like we should have the freedom to express our opinions on the sport.
Yeah, and I think it's the fact that, whatever it is, some company is angry, and, you have to.
Yeah, because we create where we cover all the sports and we have videos of it and stuff, we instantly become that organization that everybody wants to bring down.
Well, hell, people don't want to bring me. Well, everybody wanted to bring me down for decades, and it's not gonna. Shit, I wasn't even supposed to live past birth. No, I'm still here. I'm still pissing people off. It don't matter to me.
That's good.
Yeah, I'll be pissing people off to the day I die. It's kind of my thing. I don't even do it on purpose anymore. It just comes naturally. My existence pisses people off. And it's like, wow, guess it's a talent. And now I can work on coding while listening to Travis Tritt, the very best of.
Yeah, this is episode 18, so I'm thinking we'll do 2 more episodes at episode 20, and if they pull our show, if they think about and then we'll stop, and then we'll cancel this for good, because I feel like if we're going to cancel this, we have to do it at a point where we recorded an even amount of episodes. 18 episodes it feels too short if we stop at 18. If we stopped at 20 or 40 or whatever, I'd be cool with that. But
yeah, and well, we've got a couple things going for us. It'll probably take a little more work, but
we can
with one of my partnerships
content, even if we if we can't air the war room, we can still write our own code and code our own articles and stuff.
Well, with one of my partnerships that I've got that I just recently created, I told you about it. I might be able to do something. So,
what do you mean might be able to do something?
We'll talk about that later, but it's not going to be the war room per se, but it's something that I may be able to, because when you partnership with a technology, even a small technology company, it kind of, opens the door for more options. So I'll talk with you about it later.
Yeah.
But, there's we've got a lot we can do. And So it's just going to take time.
It is going to take time.
It's going to take time, and maybe we might not be able to do it with the same platforms or in the same mold that we did before. But, it's like, but we can still do it, in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and I'm sure Google or YouTube has no problem with us uploading our own iMovie content where I break down the prospects and I get my own unique individual photos. I find the photos and I put them on the internet. I'm sure they got no problem with that because it's my content. It's me being original and fresh. I mean, it's not
because you have that all over the place on YouTube. So that's
that's our content, regardless of
just for heaven's sake, don't upload the music or they'll kill you.
Yeah, I know that. I remember I did I can't remember what it was. But I used to do like 30-second intros of music with my videos. And then one day I decided it'd be cool to put like a 30-second intro of a Beatles song, and the company that runs got my video muted.
Yeah.
So that's why I never upload music to my YouTube account.
Yeah. That's a no-no.
Fuck with the Beatles. I'm serious. I'm not joking.
Yeah, the Beatles are badass. They'll come after you.
Their agents are like the mafia. They will come after you.
We do not know any. We have no information about any Italians. They do not exist. None of them are hanging out in Vegas. They do not hurt people.
We're just saying there are individuals within the Beatles organization where if you fuck with the Beatles, they will fuck you up. We're not mentioning names or ethnicities or anything like that. We're just saying if you fuck with the Beatles, there are people that will fuck you up. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, we're saying there is no such thing as the mafia. We're saying there is no such thing as anything like that. Please don't come after us or kill us.
That sounds extremely needy, but accurate.
Yes. Yeah, I say that every time somebody mentions that particular group. It's like, I know nothing. There is no, it doesn't exist. It's fictional. It doesn't happen. It's like you gotta be smart about mentioning them guys that do not exist. They're like the Men in Black. So, sorry, I just get a little touchy when it comes to imaginary people that could kill me. So,
yeah, it's 11:56, and I don't know what we're going to be able to do with our videos from this point forward. And if sticking to code is going to allow me to get more work done with my website, I'm okay to I'm all right with just doing that for a while. Like, we can always come back to the war room at a later point if we need to.
Yeah,
I think they know we're going to do this on Sundays now because it's like we've made it a natural habit. Like, we'll have to shift this to another day and then go from there.
Yeah, we'll
figure something out later.
Yeah. So
this isn't the end. It's just a hiatus, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So
TV shows have hiatuses all the time.
Yeah, we can just call this season 1.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, something like that. Because we've also we've got the podcast coming up in September. So we're
on TalkShoe. You can check us out on TalkShoe.
Yeah. So I think it's September, isn't it? Or is it August?
Yes, September. I haven't I usually do 30 to 50 episodes a season on TalkShoe, and then that's my season. I don't go into it. I don't podcast 5 to 7 days a week like News Guy or Cowpote or any of these other people out there. I do what I can when I can, because designing a website is just so time consuming.
It is, especially if you make one mistake and you have 800 to 2,000 lines of code, and you have to scour the entire thing for several hours to find the. Oh wait,
yeah, it took 8 days to redesign a nav bar all on my own. So if you gave me a team of 4 or 5 programmers, I could probably get that done in 4 days or an entire work week.
Yeah, coding is once you make something. Once you make something, you know.
And I'd be open to WordPress at a later point. Like if I finished coding everything I wanted to code, and then I added that code just to WordPress so that if I logged in, I could just blog from there, I'd be open to that. I mean, it's not something I'd be completely reserved against. I mean, if that's going to save me some time and allow me to put images a certain way, like if I can code the images into my WordPress site using HTML code, and then I can type whatever I want to type in for a certain paragraph, I'd be open to that. But since I'm a control freak, I'm going to keep things the way they are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
not like we're against using this stuff. It's just, is it beneficial to is it going to limit our ability to code quality content? Because if it is, then we're not going to do it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's less the, at least with me, it's less the, right now everything's time consuming because I don't have a lot of people.
Uses WordPress. WNBA.com uses WordPress. The Mavericks use WordPress. Like nearly 20 to 40% of all websites on the web use WordPress.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to the point where ESPN uses WordPress, and pretty much everybody uses WordPress. And in like 5 years, I'd say 50% of the internet companies in the world will have WordPress or some form of it on their sites, possibly even ours. But I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah. And before we go off the air here, I want to today I'm going to be posting a Potter's Pub. It's
Roddy Piper.
Yeah, it's going to be called I Was Rowdy Before Rowdy Was Cool. And a lot of people don't know. You know, everybody said something about, because I opened Potter's Pub, they said something about that was similar to the name of some stupid cafe on some stupid television show that I never watched or cared about. And I don't even remember what one it was.
You know what? We're going to Google that real quick. Just before we finish, we're going to X out the YouTube video, but we are going to Google Potter's Pub, and we're going to show everybody on the screen what it is on
Well, I don't have it with the updated code, so that probably wouldn't make
Potter's
it great.
Pub, Facebook, Philadelphia. It's a Morgantown, PA. Or maybe it's a Michigan bar, Potter's Pub. There's multiple restaurants named Potter's Pub. There's a Potter's Pub in Philadelphia. There's a bar. Yes, and I bet, no. Yeah. Potter's Pub. And there's a Potter's Pub in Michigan. Potter's Pub in Philadelphia, and there's a Potter's Pub in Michigan. There's even a strip club named Potter's Pub in St. Louis.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Joseph Potter, and I can use my name however I want.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, what happened was there was
and there was a Potter's Pub in East Meadow, New York that shut down, closure.
Okay. Potter's Pub was basically a turnaround to Piper's Pit. It's because Roddy Piper had this great talk show. He had a great use of his words. He had a great talk show. It started from a wrestling company in 1984, a small 5-minute segment. And before he died on Thursday, he also had the Piper's Pit podcast. For me, Potter's Pub, Roddy Piper was an inspiration, as into I might not be as creative, I might not be as bombastic or anything that Piper was, but he gave the inspiration to create something using your words. I might not always structure it wonderfully, but then too, Well, you have people you look up to like Roddy Piper who can go on for days, with absolutely zero structure. That's kind of, the way, you're going to come out and you're going to look at things differently. And Potter's Pub is basically if Roddy Piper can create something that lasts for 30 something years. It created in 1984. Well, it lasted for 21 years. 1984 until he died in several different forums and several different venues. I felt, with, he was basically the inspiration for that blog. And he was the inspiration for the creation of. And, after his death, it just seems fitting that, the fourth installment of Potter's Pub would be a little bit of acknowledgement to the man who, quite frankly, gave me an understanding of give you a microphone, I think
I do have an idea if we did this next week. Assuming NFL training camps are still on live, we could talk about training camps. I don't think they'd get – I don't know. I don't know if I want to take the risk, but, yeah, I mean, we could just talk about training camps. You'd see the training camp on the TV, but I wouldn't zoom into the TV all the way. But you'd see part of it in the background right there, and we could just talk about what's going on in each team's training camps.
Thank you for the interruption. Now I lost my train of thought. Well, okay. Well, it's past noon, so
yeah, it's past noon, and we both have code.
Yeah. So with me losing a train of thought, I really don't have anything else to say.
Neither do I.
So
the War Room is on hiatus unless we can talk training camp next week. Goodbye.